JH6, welcome back to the Shadow. We definitely appreciate you guys watching. So I got the MMP45, Glock 19, and I also got the MMP Shield here. Now this is a great concealed gun. You guys know that, guys. MMP Shield is just an outstanding gun. Glock 19 is more into like survival, home defense, concealed carry. I mean, you could do anything you want with this gun. This gun is overall a gun that could be utilized for anything. I mean, at least that's my experience. And then I got the MMP45. I love this gun, but this is a full-size gun. This is more like home defense and things like that. Now, I got to tell you guys, one of you guys asked me about the trigger. What's the difference on the triggers, you know, MMP45 versus the Glock 19 versus the MMP Shield? So we're kind of gonna address that in this video. Now, I know the MMPs just came out with a new model. The new model is supposed to have a better trigger. I've seen a couple of videos here on YouTube. Just do a search and you're going to see some of those videos. Now, the Glock 19 is a Gen 4. The MMP Shield is the one with the safety. When I got it, you couldn't get it without a safety. And then the MMP 45, I have no idea what model it is. But I got to tell you guys, coming from the Marine Corps, I did a lot of shooting. And I'm more into the shooting. I'm not so much into the details of the gun, so I'm not an expert by any means. I'm just going to show you a couple of things based on a regular guy that knows regular things about guns. If you want to get a lot of the details, check out the comments because a lot of the subscribers will put really good comments. Actually, good comments, not like my video. They will actually give you really good information. So check out the comments down below and let me know what you think as well. Alright guys, so here we are with the Glock and the MMPs. Now let me show you the difference between the Glock and the MMPs. If you look at this trigger, it has this little portion right here that is sticking out. So again, this is going to be basic for a lot of guys, but remember guys, a lot of the new guys are trying to get information, and this is some of the questions that they have. If you see that little portion sticking out, you will have to press that in order to pull the trigger. Now, if I kind of go here and I pull back, you're not going to be able to pull the trigger. As you can see, that's kind of like one of the safeties. You're actually going to have to depress this middle portion, you can tell, right there, and then be able to pull the trigger. So again, if you're doing one of this, you're shooting and you don't have your finger inside that trigger guard, you won't be able to pull that trigger. So again, you depress that middle portion and then you're able to pull the trigger. Now guys, I got to tell you, a lot of guys buy connectors and have a lot of different things for the Glock. I mean, if that's something that you want to do in the future, it's all good, but I think the Glock trigger is just fine. It works fine. You don't really need to spend more money. Again, if you're one of those guys that like to customize your handguns, go for it. But as a basic user, I think the trigger would do just fine. Again, if you could feel it, it kind of goes back a little bit. Right there, hits the wall. It's not as smooth as I would like to, but it's not horrible neither. So you kind of depress that middle portion, go back, you're going to hit the wall right there, and the trigger is going to break. The biggest difference between this Glock and the MMP trigger is going to be this reset. Check out the reset. I mean, you guys heard that noise. That noise is actually very nice, because that's going to be the biggest issue with the MMP trigger, is the fact that the reset is not as I would like to. So again, let's do this again. Hit the wall, break. That's the reset right there. Now guys, looking at the MMP, this is the MMP 45. As you can see, this is going to be a different system. But again, you're kind of going to have the same safety procedures. You see back here, it's like a little thing sticking out, like a little ear, whatever. I don't really know the proper name. But once you press, the trigger is kind of breaking half. So once you depress this bottom portion, you can tell that little ear kind of move out of the way. Let's see if I can put it in camera a little bit better. So there we go, guys. So you have that little portion back here, right there. Once you depress that, the bottom part of the trigger kind of disappear, and then you could press the trigger. So again, if you don't pull your finger inside that trigger guard and you actually get a good pistol grip and a good, position to depress or pull that trigger, you won't be able to. If you pull the top part, you can see right here, guys, I'm pulling the top part of the trigger and it's not really going back. Again, you will have to stick your finger in there like I just did, and by depressing the bottom part, you're going to be able to pull the trigger. Now, a lot of people complain about the trigger for the M&P is one of the biggest things. A lot of guys put like Apex triggers and things like that. And to tell you the truth, guys, this trigger, it can be horrible. A lot of guys won't like the trigger, and I can see why. Essentially, you pull it back and it's not really smooth at all. It's really bad, really spongy, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And once you hit this wall, it breaks. But this is the worst part about this trigger, is the reset. You guys notice, you didn't hear the reset that you hear with the Glock. With the Glock, you have come back, and you have that noise. That noise is pretty nice. You could actually feel the reset in your finger. So as you're shooting, you could feel it. By feeling it, you know if you have to pull again. So you feel it really well. It allows you to do double taps and things like that really well. With the M&Ps, it breaks and you really don't feel it. You really don't feel that reset, and that's the biggest thing. So, that could cause you to have issue as you're shooting. So that's going to be, that's why I kind of understand where people put the whole, Apex triggers and things like that. Now, if you see the M&P shield, you have the same system on the M&P shield, as you can tell. Pretty much, it's the same trigger system, but breaks, you hear that reset. Take this empty mag out. So it breaks. You hear the reset. It's not as good as the Glock, guys. Definitely not as good as the Glock. But you feel and hear that reset. That's something that you don't get with the M&P 45. And like I said, there's new M&Ps out there that's supposed to have fixed that trigger issue. So when you buy your M&P, make sure you get one of the new ones. But that's a big deal. Now, I got to tell you guys, I did a video on this. As you shooting this gun, is doable. It's not as horrible as you pull rounds through the gun. As you do the dry fire, it's horrible. But as you actually engaging a target at a range, it's not as horrible as it feels when you dry fire. But again, that reset is going to be something that, you barely feel it. That if it bothers you, you may want to upgrade the trigger to something good. I got to tell you guys, I'm not a fan of changing triggers and things like that. I'm a fan of buying a handgun that I could just utilize the way it comes. But I could definitely understand why people do it. If I have some extra cash, I may put an AP trigger just to see what's the deal with that. But I hope that kind of explained to you guys, kind of show you the differences between the two triggers. It's pretty much the same concept, but they do have some differences in the design. So, alright guys, as always, if you like this type of videos, click like, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you stopping by, and God is in control.